told you that the less creative you think you are, the better your designs could be. It sounds crazy, I know, right? But here's the kicker. I design websites for a living, and spoiler alert, I'm not exactly the creative genius type either. I remember sitting in front of my screen, completely stuck, convinced I was not creative enough to design anything. And then I figured out the secret. And no, it doesn't involve channeling your inner Picasso, because trust me, even Picasso would struggle with a Squarespace template on a Monday morning. So here's the thing. I can't just see something where it isn't. My husband, he can look at our backyard or a room in our house and instantly just envision what it would look like with a tree over there or with the walls painted red. But me, that is not at all how my brain works. I need to build it first, piece by piece. And I used to think that that was a flaw. I thought, how can I be a designer if I can't picture all of this perfectly from the start like he can? But then I realized that's just one way of being creative, and it's not the only way. In fact, most of the best designs come from trial and error, from actually putting things together and seeing what works. And I rely on tools. I put together mood boards, inspiration boards, and collections of all the things that I love. For web design, it's often a Pinterest board. Once I can see everything in front of me, that's when the magic actually happens. I start piecing things together, tweaking here and there, and then my gut just kind of takes over. And that's what I want you to know. You don't need some magical creative vision to get started. You just need to know what tools to use and how to use them. Whether it's mood boards or templates or starting with your client's content, there are plenty of ways to build something beautiful without relying on raw creativity alone. So let's get into the practical steps to web design without needing to be creative. Step number 1, start with inspiration. Here's where I always begin: mood boards and inspiration boards. Before I even think about the client's content, I gather all of the things that inspire me, whether it's colors or layouts or even elements from nature. I use tools like Pinterest to create a collection of designs and ideas that I love. But I don't just look at websites for inspiration. Some of my favorite sources come from packaging design, interior design, and even fashion. There's something about how a beautifully designed package or a really chic room that comes together that really just sparks ideas for me for website designs. You don't need to have the whole design in your head before you start. This step is about building a foundation that you're going to work with. And trust me, once you have these inspiration boards in front of you, things just kind of start to click. And then step number 2, start looking at your client's content. Next, I dive into whatever it is that they've given me. And this is key because your client's words, story, and brand messaging are going to guide the design, not just your creativity alone. But don't worry actually about designing anything just yet. Focus on understanding what the content is asking for. For example, let's say your client has a bold, attention-grabbing headline, something like, "Transform your home with these 5 simple design hacks." This might work best with a bold, centered layout, something that gives the headline space to breathe and really grabs attention when the page loads. On the other hand, if the content is more detailed, like a story or a description of a service, you might need a more subtle layout with smaller sections or columns to make those paragraphs of text easier to read. Do you see how this kind of takes the pressure off? You're not actually just designing in a vacuum. The content is already doing half of the work by showing you what type of layout that content needs to fit into or makes the most sense with. And step number 3 is to match the content to the layout. Here's where you take action. With your inspiration board ready and your client's content in hand, it's time to match the content to the layout that fits best. Kind of think of it like putting together a puzzle. For each piece of content, whether it's a testimonial or a headline or a service description, you're looking for the layout that makes sense and fits to that message. Let's say your client has a simple but bold testimonial. You might go for a layout with really clean lines and center text to draw attention to it. Or if you're working with more detailed content, like again, a service breakdown, then you'll need something that gives space for multiple sections, maybe a layout with columns or icons to sort of make the intense amount of text more easily skimmable and digestible. The goal is just to make the content easy to read and visually appealing without overcomplicating things. And then once you've matched the content to the right layout, the design process just kind of starts to naturally flow from there. Step number 4 is to trust your gut and just tweak it as you go. And this is honestly the fun part, the tweaking and the adjusting. Once you've got your layout and your content together, take a step back and just listen to your gut. Put the 2 pieces together. Does something feel off about it? It could be anything from the spacing or the colors or the font choices or even the image placement. For example, let's say you've placed a headline at the very top of the page, but it kind of feels too cramped, like there's not enough breathing room or space around it. That's usually a sign that your spacing or margin needs some adjusting. So give the elements more space to breathe, and suddenly the whole design just feels a bit lighter and more balanced. And then color is another really, really big one. Say you paired a bright neon pink with natural earthy brown and yellow tones. It can feel jarring because the neon clashes with the earthy muted shades, but by adjusting the colors to something more complementary, like using a lighter pastel pink instead of neon, you'll find that the whole design sort of feels more cohesive and balanced. Fonts can also throw things off and make them feel weird. So if your body text is in a bold font that's too similar to your headline, it can kind of confuse the hierarchy of the design. So you want your headlines to stand out and your body text to be really easy to read. So using maybe a lighter font weight or a simpler typeface for body text can really restore balance to your design. And sometimes it's as simple as an image placement that just feels a bit awkward. Maybe it's too large or doesn't align with the other elements on the page. So resizing or repositioning the images until they line up with the text or the grid just feels a bit more polished can be the right thing to do. The key here is that there's no one right answer. You kind of just need to look at the content that you've put together and then trust your gut and think about if something doesn't feel right or it doesn't feel balanced, just start tweaking with it. Now remember, if you're not sure about making the change and if the thing you're going to redesign looks worse than the original, you can just duplicate that design or section without losing the original layout. So honestly, it's probably actually not that you're not creative. It's probably that you're just a little bit afraid. And that fear, it stops all of the creative ideas before they even start. And when you're new to something like web design, it can feel very overwhelming because you haven't built the confidence yet. But here's the truth. That nervousness is actually the thing that's blocking your creative potential. A web design project might feel daunting, but when you have really clear steps to follow, that fear honestly just starts to melt away. And I know that the first step is the hardest, but trust me, once you get going, the process becomes so much easier. That's actually exactly why I created my Square Secrets course, to teach you the technical steps of building beautiful strategic websites on Squarespace. Inside of Square Secrets, I guide you through everything from designing layouts to creating a website that not only looks great, but also works really strategically. You don't have to guess your way through it or feel like you're not creative enough. I'll show you basically the exact steps to follow. And here's the thing. You don't have to be born creative to build websites. You just need the right processes, and I'll give you that so you're never stuck staring at a blank page wondering what the heck you should do next. Now, if you're also thinking, but what about the actual running a business side of being a website designer? Then I've got you covered too. You can bundle Square Secrets with my Square Secrets business course. And that course teaches you how to turn your web design skills into a thriving business. With the bundle, you get both of them. Basically, you get everything you need from mastering website design to building a profitable business. But here's the exciting part. My courses are only open for enrollment a couple times a year, and right now is one of those times. If you want to, feel free to click the link below to get all the details on the courses and secure your spot before doors close. Imagine the confidence you're going to feel when you can design beautiful websites and run a successful web design business. Whether you're building your first client website or landing your next client, these courses will give you all the tools that you need to thrive. Not only will you have these skills, but imagine having a lifestyle-first business built, one that allows you to live the life that you've been dreaming of. I've totally been where you are, feeling unsure of my creativity, wondering if I could really build websites that other people would actually love. But with the right steps, I figured it out, and I want to help you do the same. And when you join, you're also joining a community of like-minded women who are creating their own web design businesses. So click the link below to join Square Secrets and get all the tools that you need to start building beautiful websites. Or grab the bundle if you want to take it a little step further and build your entire web designer business from the ground up. I believe in you and your potential, and I can't wait to see the incredible websites and business that you create. Remember, friend, this is your moment. You are ready. I believe in you, and I'm here to help.